My name is Jess Faulds. I'm part of a group of enabled warriors that you've probably never heard of. We're fighting back against our invisible illness and taking the dis out of disability. We don't give sympathy to our symptoms. They enable us to be the warrior that we are. If you ask doctors and nurses, they'd say what we're doing is impossible. But pushing the limits of our conditions is something that we have to break through every single day. So we push the limits. We are mentally strong, and we can do anything. The question is, how far can we push those limits? This podcast will give you the answers. I'm Jess Faulds, and this is the Disabled to Enabled podcast. Yeah, and is that the kind of similar sort of attitude you had towards entering the menopause as well?
Yeah, so I was I've mentally prepared myself as best I could and we were really hopeful. So I did have 2 periods post like chemo, and I was like, yes, I kept it. This is great. I'm amazing. I'm like the 1 in 5. And then I had the period in September, and then I went to my doctor's appointment in October, which is like mid-October. And I told them, I said, I haven't had a period in like 5 weeks. And they were like, oh, well, it could just be late. It could be stress. Like, we're not going to stress too much about it. And then I went back in November and I said, I still haven't had a period. And they're like, okay, well, we don't want to do any blood tests yet because it's still so new. Like, we don't know. And so then again, like Christmas came, no period. January came, no period. And so when I went to them in January, I said, like, I haven't had a period. And they said, okay, well, we'll do blood work now. I had been taking my birth control still. They had warned me from the beginning that I should, no matter what happens, I should continue to take my birth control pill. And then you stop it for that 1 week. And you would just like your normal birth control routine. Cause they said, if you are going into menopause, the one thing they're concerned about is your bone density. Because I'm only 27, 28, your bone density hasn't fully formed. It doesn't happen until you're in your 30s. So they're like, we need you to keep taking that because it's going to help no matter what with bone density. Mm-hmm. And so they arranged for me to have my blood work on the week that I was not on the pills to check my hormone levels. And then I still remember getting the call. And it was really confusing because the nurse was just like, oh, like these results, we need the doctor to tell you. And I was like, okay, is the doctor there? And she's like, no, I'll have the doctor call you back. And so then the nurse called me again the next day, and she's like, this is what the doctor told me to tell you. This is what the numbers are. This is indicating menopause. So we're going to send you to a hormone specialist or a female doctor is what they said. And they did send me to a female doctor. I will not use his name, but I looked him up online before I went, and I was like, oh my God, this does not sound like a nice man. I don't want to go see this man. Like, he doesn't sound like he's sensitive to women going through like fertility issues. Why would you become? And then my mom's like, well, take them with a grain of salt. And I actually had shown up and someone had canceled my appointment. So it turns out that my stem cell doctors didn't want me seeing him. They wanted me to see someone else. And so they had canceled the appointment and no one had told me, but he still took me in for like a really quick, it was like 2 minutes. He basically said, yeah, your numbers say you're in menopause. Keep taking your birth control pills. Have a nice day. And that was it.
Wow.
And I was like, okay.
Wow.
Yes, I'll still take, he's like, don't worry, you should be able to still have a kid. You harvested eggs. Good job. Have a nice day. And then I got a week later a letter in the mail that said, we've actually booked you in at this clinic here called the ISIS Women's Health Clinic, which is probably a really great name. Now, kind of unfortunate, but they have me booked for an appointment next week. And so I'll talk to like a female doctor for one. I really prefer a female doctor for this. Yeah. And a hormone specialist. And so we'll see what they say. But I have not had a period in 7 or 8 months, which is not the worst thing, I will admit.
No, I can imagine that's not the bad thing.
It's not the bad thing. The bad thing was the heartburn, and I was getting really bad hot flashes.
Mm.
And I used to laugh at my aunts and stuff and my mom and be like, it's a hot flash. It's not that bad. But it literally feels like you're being cooked from the inside. Like it's like, and it's radiating, heat just radiates out from you, which sounds really weird, but it's nothing like the heat sensitivity I felt with MS because it's internally. And you just start sweating and you get really flushed. And I used to sit, I remember being at a conference sitting with other ladies from the MS Society, and one of them looks at me and she's like, you're having a hot flash. She also is obviously she's in her 40s or 50s, so she's going through menopause naturally. She goes, yep, you're having a hot flash. And I've been cuddling with my boyfriend one night and it will come on and he's like, why do you feel like you have a fever all of a sudden? Like, it's instant. And so he would bring up ice packs and put them on me.
Oh, God.
And I did talk to the doctors about it, and I said it tends to only be on the weeks when I'm skipping the hormone pills. And they said, well, don't skip the hormone pills now. It doesn't make sense. Like, just keep taking them because we know you're in menopause. So the birth control pills are now not a birth control. They're kind of like a hormone replacement, a mild hormone replacement. So stop skipping the pills. And since I did that, the hot flashes have been a lot better, but it was not fun at first.
No, I can imagine. And having that kind of, I guess, acknowledgement from other ladies around you who have kind of maybe experienced it themselves, they're kind of like, oh, okay, I know exactly how you're feeling, which is a little bit different to MS when you're kind of having like heat sensitivity and things, and nobody really gets it, do they?
Yeah, no, nobody gets it. So these ladies, they were great. They were like, oh, like, do you want a fan? Here, I have like one of the ladies carries one of those little mini electronic fans with
My
her.
mom has
She's
one
like,
of those.
would you like a fan? And I was like, yes, ma'am, please give me the fan. And it's the middle of winter. Like, I would literally, I'd be in a workout, I'd get a hot flash, and I would go stand outside in -30 in my shorts.
Oh gosh. Let's just take a short break to thank our sponsors. If you have a chronic illness, you'll know that symptoms can be so annoying. Whether you're trying to figure out what symptom is for what condition or trying to figure out what is triggering your symptoms, the Enabled Warrior Symptom Tracker can help. It's a book that I've developed alongside doctors and other patients, or as I like to say, warriors, to make it as easy as possible for you to track your symptoms, and it's easy for doctors to glance at and give you the best care possible. Take a look at the show notes right now to see where you can get yours. And remember, warriors, stay enabled. Are you ready to fight back against your chronic illness and go from being disabled to enabled? Do you want to be an enabled warrior, someone who's brave, strong, and confident, and someone who's ready to find a way to achieve awesome things despite a diagnosis? This is your invitation. Check out DISabledtoENabled.com for articles and reviews to find out how you can become enabled too. Subscribe to the podcast to always be in the know. If you think this podcast is better than sleeping in on a Sunday, tickle that subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening. And make sure to share this episode with someone who needs some inspiration. Want to ask your questions to future guests? Make sure to join our Enabled Warriors tribe on Facebook and look out for our question posts. Before we go, check out DISabledtoENabled on Instagram for posts that tell it like it is. And remember, warriors, stay enabled.